I hate church politics. That's probably because I am conflict averse. Like a lot of you, I wish sometimes that, in the words of Rodney King, can't we all get along? But the truth is, until the kingdom comes, conflict, even in the church, is simply a fact of life. The question is, what do we do with it? Hello, I'm Stuart Baskin, pastor of First Presbyterian Church of Tyler, Texas. And this is your daily devotional for Saturday, May 25th, 2024. The letter 3 John is one of just 2 letters in the New Testament written to individuals. Paul wrote a letter to Philemon, a member of the Colossian church, urging him to welcome his runaway slave Onesimus back into the fold. 3 John is written to a man named Gaius, but we don't know where he lived or what church community he was part of. And we don't actually know the name of the writer either. He simply refers to himself as the elder. But the connections with 1st and 2nd John are obvious enough that we can call him John, even if he himself might have been only a follower of John and a leader in the churches John founded. That doesn't really matter. What does matter is what he writes. And what he writes gives us a bit of insight into the life of the early church. We would like to think that life in the early church was more or less perfect. We see it as kind of a gauzy Eden in a sense. We imagine that everyone got along, that everyone believed the same things, and that everyone lived in a state of spiritual unity. But to read through the New Testament is to read about conflicts both between the Christian community and the world around it, as well as conflicts within the church itself. In Acts, for example, we see the very first ecumenical council trying to resolve conflicts about what to require of Gentile converts to the faith. In that same book, we also see a squabble in the Jerusalem church over favorable, unfair treatment of Gentile Christian widows who were given short shrift compared to the Jewish Christian widows in the apportionment of food. And to read through Paul's letters reveals conflicts happening in every church to which he writes. It's not too much to say that Paul wrote his letters in an attempt to solve conflicts in those various churches. Conflict, then, is endemic to the church, just because the church is made up of imperfect human beings. In 3 John, the elder first commends his friend Gaius for his hospitality to a group of traveling evangelists who have taken up temporary residence with Gaius while they minister to the church and evangelize the community. But then he turns his attention to an apparent conflict within the church concerning a man named Diotrephes. Let's listen in on this part of the letter. I have written, he says, something to the church, but Diotrephes, who likes to put himself first, does not acknowledge our authority. So if I come, I will call attention to what he is doing in spreading false charges against us. And not content with those charges, he refuses to welcome the friends and even prevents those who want to do so and expels them from the church. So we simply don't know anything about the content of this conflict. All we know is that a certain Diotrephes is spreading falsehoods about John, obviously in an effort to undermine John's authority and increase his own. It's a time-tested tactic, actually. Spread rumors and innuendo about a rival, and then exploit the confusion that results. Yes, it may divide the church, but what of it? If the one who craves authority can peel it off at least some of the church and create a rival community. Even better, if the innuendo completely undermines the authority of the opponent, rendering them powerless and useless. This seems to have been Diotrephes' strategy. Why did he oppose John? Well, we'll never know, but we do know that his actions were creating some disruption in the church, going so far as to expel some people from the church for showing hospitality the very way that Gaius was doing. So is there a solution? Is there anything that can be done to solve such a problem? If by solving the problem you mean eliminating differences, the answer is no. But there is something John discourages. Do not descend to their level. He says, Beloved, do not imitate what is evil, but imitate what is good. Whoever does good is from God. Whoever does evil has not seen God. Everyone has testified favorably about Demetrius, and so has the truth itself. We also testify for him, and you know that our testimony is true. There is, of course, another way to put this. There's an old saying, sometimes attributed to George Bernard Shaw, sometimes to Mark Twain, and sometimes to Abraham Lincoln. It says, "Never wrestle with a pig. You'll both get dirty, but the pig will like it." It is no guarantee that you will prevail in the end by doing right. The one spreading dirt may win the day. But better to lose with integrity than to win through underhanded means. Come to think of it, that's pretty good advice still. On Monday, a Memorial Day tribute. But for now, may God continue to bless you and keep you in all that you do this day and in all the days ahead.